Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters, welcome back to our Surah series. So here we will embark on a journey of deep reflection and wisdom from Quran, and we try to learn the concepts which has been discussed in Quran, and we'll try to apply its wisdom in our daily life in the modern day context. So today we will continue our detailed analysis of Surah Al-Baqarah. In fact, I have done a previous video also on this, and here we will focus on the greatest spiritual leader of humanity after Adam alayhi salam, that is Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. And we will discuss why is Ibrahim alayhi salam the forefather of Islam. So the questions that we need to address here is, why does Allah emphasize Ibrahim alayhi salam in this particular surah, and how did he pass the greatest test of faith? Right, and we will also look at what lessons does his life teach us about submission to Islam and sacrifice. So the question is, Islam is the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and his life is the perfect example of Tawheed, that is monotheism, example for obedience, patience, and sacrifice. So this lecture, if you see, we will explore the different phases of his life, his unwavering commitment to Allah, and his construction of the Kaaba, which still stands today as the holiest site in Islam. So the verse, if I need to take, who would turn away from the religion of Ibrahim, except one who makes a fool of himself? Again from Surah Al-Baqarah. So let's start with source for the one true God, Ibrahim alayhi salam's journey to faith. So the surah, this I want to, from this surah, the verse that I want to start with is, and thus did we show Ibrahim the realm of the heavens and the earth, that he would be among the certain in terms of faith. So Ibrahim alayhi salam was born in a society which was filled with idol worship, and his father Azar was one of the chief idol maker of that kingdom. But even as a child, he questioned everything at that point of time. And one night Ibrahim alayhi salam sat under the vast sky contemplating the universe, and first he observed a bright star, thinking it might be a god. But when it disappeared, he realized that God cannot be something that fades. So the verse, if I need to take from Surah Al-Anam, when the night covered him, he saw a star and said, "This is my Lord." But when it set, he said, "I do not like things that set." Okay, so again, if you see, then he saw the moon shining brightly and thought it was powerful. But when that too disappeared, he knew that the true power must be eternal. So the verse, if I need to take it again, then when he saw the moon rising, he said, "This is my Lord." But when it set, he said, "If my Lord does not guide me, I'll surely be among the misguided people." Then the sun was massive and dominant, but it again also disappeared. So finally, Ibrahim alayhi salam declared that he would worship only the unseen creator of everything. So the verse is like this. Then when he saw the sun rising, he said, "This is my Lord. This is greater and mightier." But when it set, he said, "Oh my people, indeed I am free from what you associate with Allah. Indeed, I have turned my face towards the one who created the heavens and the earth, inclining towards the truth, and I am not of those who associate others with Allah." So the lesson here is, the true faith is built on reasoning and certainty. So we must actively seek the truth, just as Ibrahim alayhi salam did. Now, the biggest challenge against idol worship we'll discuss here how Ibrahim alayhi salam confronts his people. See the Surah Ashura. So here there is a verse, and recite to them the news of Ibrahim, when he said to his father and his people, "What do you worship?" So Ibrahim alayhi salam did not just discover the truth, he actively challenged the falsehood, the idol worship, and he openly questioned his people at that point of time. He said, "Do they hear you when you supplicate? Or do they benefit you or harm you?" So he tried to reason with them, but they refused to listen to that. And they blindly followed the religion of their ancestors, like the idol worship and other things, without questioning its validity. And they said, "Rather, we found our fathers doing this." So the key lesson here is, true faith is not inherited, it is chosen. And we cannot blindly follow culture or tradition if it contradicts Islam. Now see how this breaking the idols, that's actually a bold act of Tawheed, the monotheism or oneness of Allah. "And by Allah, I'll surely plant against your idols after you have turned and gone away." That's from Surah Al-Anbiya. Ibrahim alayhi salam waited until the people left for a festival, and he entered the temple and destroyed all the idols, leaving only the largest one. And when the people returned, they were furious and demanded, Ibrahim alayhi salam pointed to the biggest idol and said, the people realized their idols were powerless, yet their arrogance stopped them from believing. So then they turned, to themselves and said, "Indeed, you are the wrongdoers." And then they reversed themselves, saying, "You are already, know that these do not speak." So the lesson here is, if you see, Ibrahim alayhi salam did not just worship Allah in private. He stood up for the faith and for the righteous path, even he was alone. So the true faith demands courage, conviction, and action. So the verses, if I need to take from here, who has done this to our gods? Indeed, he is of the wrongdoer. That's when Ibrahim pointed the that biggest idol. Everything else is powerless, something like that. So rather, this the largest of them did it. So ask them if they should speak. Right? They were powerless. They couldn't protect themselves. How can they protect you? Then they turned to themselves and said, "Indeed, you are the wrongdoers." And then they reversed themselves, saying, "You already know that these do not speak." Okay, so the ultimate test here, that the biggest sacrifice of Ismail actually. So after years of longing for a son, Allah commanded Ibrahim alayhi salam to sacrifice Ismail alayhi salam. So instead of resisting, Ismail alayhi salam submitted willingly. That's a big story that I can discuss in a different session. And if I need to take it from Surah As-Safa, the verse, "Oh my son, indeed I have seen in a dream that I must sacrifice you. So see what you think." And he, submitted willingly. He said, "Oh, my father, do as you are commanded. You will find me, if Allah wills, among the patient." But Ibrahim alayhi salam, lowered the knife. Allah replaced Ismail alayhi salam with a ram from Jannah. And we ransomed him with a great sacrifice. So the lesson here is submission to Allah means trusting him even when things don't make sense. So sacrifice is necessary for the true faith. Now, let's also talk about the construction of Kaaba, the house of Allah, but we will have to discuss this in detail later. See, Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam built the Kaaba as a universal symbol of Tawheed, monotheism. And even while performing this greatest act, they remain humble. And the verses like this, Surah Al-Baqarah, when Ibrahim was raising the foundations of the house with Ismail, saying, "Our Lord, accept this from us. Our Lord, make us Muslims." That means submissive to you, and from our descendants, a Muslim nation. So the lesson here is sincerity matters more than the deeds. Even while doing a great action, we must pray for acceptance. So what's the lesson from the life of Ibrahim alayhi salam? So faith requires reflection. So Ibrahim alayhi salam actively sought the truth, and we must do the same. Tawheed demands action. So we must stand up for the truth even when you are alone. And the third one I can tell you is that submission to Allah is the greatest form of worship. So Ibrahim alayhi salam sacrificed everything for Allah and was rewarded. Indeed, the most honored of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Surah Al-Hujurah. So that's all what I want to discuss from this chapter and about Ibrahim alayhi salam. I hope you can replicate the learning in your daily life also. So thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. If you like the video, share it with your friends also. So may Allah bless us all. Thank you.